if the captain of the ship, all right, if shit is going wrong on the ship, right, and the crew kind of freaks out a little bit, and they're like, oh my God, there's a storm. What are we gonna do, right? And the captain's like, oh my God, I don't know. What are we gonna do? And he's like, ah! How much confidence are you gonna have in the captain?
How do you balance that out? I mean, I know how we do it.
Right.
And like, you do come talk to me when you get to a point where you feel like you need some emotional support or guidance, because women are more emotional.
Men need to be stoic, right? Which doesn't mean not having emotions. It means not allowing your emotions to dictate your actions. That's what it means. It means to not allow the external to influence the internal, right? The ultimate goal of Stoic philosophy, or being Stoic, is tranquility, which means inner peace, which means that the external does not disturb your internal. It's very hard to do, but you should strive as a man to practice to become that. A woman needs to vent. Women are more emotional and they need to vent. And the man needs to be able to listen to that and to
not get defensive. Or take it personally.
Right. And be empathetic towards that and validate her emotions, validate her feelings, and let her get it out of her system. She needs that expression. She needs the shoulder to cry on. A man that does that is viewed as complaining, rightly so, or as weak, because he's trying to get the support. Like, the man is supposed to be the support. He's supposed to be the rock, right? He's supposed to be the logical, dependable, right, stable person who's analytical, and it creates the stability, right? Emotion is not stable, unfortunately, which is, again, it's not bad. It's not that bad. Women are bad because they have emotions. It's just that it's a different role, right? And so if the man is all emotional, it's not going to create a very safe dynamic. What can you depend on, right? A good example that I always use is, let's say that, again, we're using the captain of the ship, right, analogy. Okay, if the captain of the ship, all right, if shit is going wrong on the ship, right, and the crew kind of freaks out a little bit, and they're like, oh my God, there's a storm. What are we gonna do, right? And the captain's like, oh my God, I don't know. What are we gonna do? And he's like, ah! How much confidence are you going to have in the captain, right? The captain inside might be like, oh shit, this is some scary stuff going on here. But he's going to present as, I got this handled. I can take care of this. Don't worry. He's calming down the crew and saying, don't freak out. If the captain starts freaking out with everyone else freaking out, who's going to really steer the ship, and who are you going to trust, right? So that's why it can't even be 50-50 like that. It just doesn't work that way.
But what about the captain suppressing his emotions and then causing problems? So like, how do you balance that out? I mean, I know how we do it.
Right.
And like, you do come talk to me when you get to a point where you feel like you need some emotional support or guidance, because women are more emotional. And so I understand that, but I think it's important to like not portray it as like, even if you're freaking out, just shove it down, because a lot of men have problems with shoving things down, and then it kind of blows up, which is understandable, because, that happens to women too. Mm-hmm. It just happens quicker because we have a lot of emotions, or, like it happens more often because we have a lot of emotions. But I think it's important to talk about like that dynamic of it.
Yeah.
Because men can suppress that stuff and cause more problems in their lives.
Well, number one, men need to be stoic. Right, which doesn't mean not having emotions. It means not allowing your emotions to dictate your actions. That's what it means. It means to not allow the external to influence the internal, right? The ultimate goal of Stoic philosophy, or being Stoic, is tranquility, which means inner peace, which means that the external does not disturb your internal. It's very hard to do, but you should strive as a man to practice to become that. It's good for women to practice that as well, but it's way more necessary for a man to be that, right? Because he has to be that captain of the ship that's not going to freak out when there's a storm. The second thing is that there's 3 ways to handle emotions. One of them is to suppress them. One is to express them. And the third one is to process them. And if you just, as a man, express all your emotions all the time, that's not good, especially bad emotions, anger, sadness, uncertainty, envy. Just expressing those things out freely is not a good plan. It's going to cause a lot of chaos. All right. then if you don't express it, what do? A lot of people think the only alternative is to repress it. Repressing it is like you're trying to block expressing it is like the water is coming towards you, the river is flowing towards you, and you're just like deflecting it all over everyone else. Repressing it is you're just absorbing all the water. It's just coming into you and you're just absorbing it, right? And it's just like you're eventually going to blow up because you're going to fill up with water, right? That's what repressing is. It's not actually feeling the emotions in the moment. It's just ignoring them, what you're feeling. It's not being aware. Processing them is letting the river flow through you. So you're still feeling them. You're just not expressing them outward. You're not pushing them down. You're letting the river flow through you.
And processing and letting go.
Right. And exactly. And that's what it is.
Okay. So I struggle with this. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of modern women, I'm sure, do as well. Because it's kind of confusing. So what you said, you don't want men to like be spilling everything onto each other.
Right.
So it's hard for women to feel like they can open up all the time because they feel like they're spilling out onto everybody, and that'll push men away. And it does to some men. Like some men don't want to deal with it. And so women do learn that they need to figure things out on their own and things like that. So like, can you explain that part? Because, like I said, I struggle with this for certain reasons and I'm trying to work on that. But I think a lot of women need to hear why it's okay for them to express their emotions and why it's not okay for men to do it in a way that women would do it.
Yeah, I think it's two things, right? So one of them is that it's how the emotions are expressed, right? A lot of women get that wrong. There's light feminine energy and there's dark feminine energy, right? And expressing emotions as a woman, like the feminine of expressing emotions or living in the moment, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, when you're screaming at someone, yelling at someone, dumping the emotions onto someone as opposed to expressing them. Like if you're truly, I want to express my emotions. This is what I'm feeling. I'm really sad right now. I'm feeling anger. This thing is irritating me, right? If it's not directed at me, that's fine. It's not disrespectful. Once you cross the line of being disrespectful, then that becomes a not healthy way to express the emotion. So I think a lot of women think, oh, well, I can just say whatever I want, or I'm just angry. So I said that because I was angry. And so I can just curse or whatever. Or I was just mad. Like that's you're saying I can't be mad. It's like, yeah, I'm not saying you can't be mad. What I'm saying is you can't be like calling me names because you're mad or yelling in my face or doing inappropriate things or throwing,
I agree with that.